What's up, gamers, and welcome to another No Rest for the Wicked and what's going on in gaming culture video. We're going to dive into the latest that Thomas is sharing about what to expect with the update number 3, which, if you guys don't remember, it is actually scheduled for July the 25th. I will be doing some live streams of the new content. We'll be making some videos of the new content here as well. And as always, we'll be covering the latest news and developments around this game. We do have an update in this video about the state of multiplayer, so we're going to talk about that, kind of when we can start to expect to see the roadmaps, and I'll let you guys know whether I was right or whether I owe you guys some gifted members here today as well. So hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Brian if you happen to be new around here. And as a reminder, Cyclinus writes, hey, also new sub. I thought I was already subbed already. Thank you so much for hitting that sub button. Same thing to St. John. Glad you guys are here. I did have an original goal from the last video of getting the watch time up from subscribers to 25%. That has not happened. We have seen a nice little drop there, but that's okay. 19% still really great. And thank you guys for the 80% of you who are checking out my content. Hopefully you guys are enjoying. But let's get into the news. Let's get into what Thomas has to say. There is a lot here, so buckle up. I'm gonna read what he's posted. I'll also let you guys know when it is me chiming in on what he has to say for those audio only listeners out there in the world. All right, Thomas kicks it off. Hey folks, I wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on what's been going on at Moon and how we're thinking about things right now. We've received quite a few questions regarding the new update cycle, and since we're still at the start of our early access phase, we have a lot of internal debates on how we should dish out things in the future, at what cadence, etc. So let me clarify our thinking just a bit. Now, originally we saw obviously hot fixes roll out, patch number 2 roughly 2 weeks after kind of the big release, and now it looks like obviously we're looking at a month and a half, 2 months between the patch, and that actually is a better amount of time. It's unfortunate because we want things now as gamers, but as game devs, giving them more time to cook gives us a better product. So good things do come to those who wait. Anyhow, well, he continues, right after we released Wicked into early access, I think everyone enjoyed our update cadence because we released smaller hotfixes and bigger patches at a very frequent cadence. We play tested, we read community feedback, and we just doled things out super rapidly. And we think that was great, but most of these hotfixes and patches didn't focus in on entirely new content. It's me speaking here. That is what has been the bigger critique. The game is in I think a very polished state. Yes, there's bugs. Yes, we're still waiting on Steam verification, which is coming in patch number 3, which has been confirmed by Thomas, and we covered that in the previous video. But we have this mindset where you have almost these two different forms of early access. PAX Day is early access. Like, it is a very early alpha state. Here, I would classify this as a true beta, in this case, the ability for feedback to be gathered and given, and then having them do that work, cooking that steak, as Carol likes to tweet out constantly, which both makes me hungry and excited for July the 25th. And he continues, this is mainly just tweaking numbers and adding a few things here and there, basically just tuning things so that the quality of the status quo improved. And I think that they've done that successfully in this case. He goes on, then after a month or so, we looked at what we've achieved so far, and we agreed internally that it's time now to focus in on major content updates instead of just patching and tuning the already existing content. After we analyzed all the feedback that was given until patch number 2, I think it's pretty clear that we reached a point where you folks love what we've got so far, but now most people weren't asking for hotfixes and for patches anymore. Instead, the most frequent feedback became, love what I played so far, now I just need more content. And I think that shows, and we've turned things generally into a pretty good spot. So that's what we've switched our focus on releasing a major content update next. Right now, we're in our first content update cycle, and those cycles will always take a little bit longer than if we're just releasing hotfixes and patches, since we're looking on entirely new enemies, bosses, levels, systems, modes, etc., all at the same time. I think that the natural state of things to come will release major content updates, followed by some hotfix and patch cycles to tune those updates based off of your feedback and assessment. This seems very natural, especially when you start, you know, I don't know if they're committing to it being a true live service game, but when you look at live service games, you have a, you know, big content, and it roughly is every 3 to 4 months. I think 3-month cadence for big content drops is the healthiest. I think that is something people can start to schedule their lives around, as long as a consistency is applied there. But here we go. Like, this is going to be a learning opportunity for us and them as we build out that understanding of, okay, generally speaking, every 2 months or every 3 months, No Rest for the Wicked gets another big update of content, and, you know, time to go return and check out all the changes, or wait until the full 1.0 release. Anyway, Thomas continues. Ultimately, our goal is to reach 1.0 by just releasing content updates at a regular cadence, and we'll follow that up with some hot fixes and patches, and then you'll be able to expect another major content update right after that. And that will keep going until we then release another major content update that will bring in all the features and systems that we've bookmarked for our 1.0 release. I hope this all makes sense and clears things up for everyone. Excited for times ahead. We'll soon have one of the biggest updates to Wicked ever coming out, and I can't wait to see how everyone will react to some of the crazy stuff that we've been working on. Now, when asked, is multiplayer going to be included in the first content update in any form, or is it still solely Crucible related? Thomas confirms, unfortunately, multiplayer is not going to be a part of the Crucible update we have coming up. But yes, we're very much aware that a ton of you can't wait to play Wicked in co-op. We're hard at work on those things, so please stay tuned for further updates regarding the roadmap. And so they talked about it. We're going to see that roadmap come into play. And so it's going to change, right? So I was thinking that July was going to see the multiplayer update based off of the release. Clearly, that is not the case. So I owe you guys 5 more gifted members at a toll. I haven't done a live stream here on the channel as I've been playing the MMO content over on Ginger Prime Loves MMOs. So if you guys want to come hang out over there, that's great. But I owe you guys on this channel those members, because multiplayer is not going to make it in terms of July, which is a little bit of a bummer. But again, I want them to do it right so that when we do go hands-on, we have that quality experience and it doesn't end up feeling like a cluster of horrible decision. Now, before we move into our community discussion and topic about what Alanah Pearce said, especially about gaming, disabilities, parenting, and so much more, a lot of it taking out of context, but I'd like to weigh in and, you know, have that, you know, real discussion with you guys. I want to highlight some of the hardworking animators that are working on this game. Author talking about new animations, showing it off. Like, it is so freaking cool what they're seeing here. I love seeing this stuff. Hopefully you guys do as well. Nick highlighting the spear, the bruiser spear animation looks really cool. I like that they have a punching bag. I clearly think that's obviously for the dev tools, but if I was going to put in a request, it would be really freaking cool to have something like that in the game as well. Anyway, so maybe Moon Studios will make that happen. Whether it's in your house or just in general, it kind of is maybe a joke area like we've seen in Diablo with like Cow World. I don't know, punching bag world, who knows? I just like the fact that it's a punching bag. It also makes me think of Smash Brothers, for those of you who are Smash Bros fans. And then Author also tweeting out another great sword animation. And truly, it is just so exciting to see how, I guess, the steak is cooked, right? So hopefully you guys enjoyed all of that. But now let's get into our community discussion. This is the perfect time, if you guys aren't interested in this kind of content, to see you in the next video. So thank you guys so much for being here. But there's been a lot of talk about what Alanah said about Elden Ring. And I thought I'd give some thoughts about it, because as a father of 6, there are some things that I was like, all right, that's an interesting term that as a dev I haven't heard in my 20 years of being a dev, but maybe it's a geographical thing. But let's go ahead and let the kind of clip play itself. That way we can get some of the context, even though this is just a small clip in a bigger video, one of which that is focusing in on video game difficulty. Take it away, Alanah.
Is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. It is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situation is concerned.
So a few things. Like, obviously, the internet has been abuzz with what she said. I've weighed in, and I'll share what I posted just the other day here in a little bit. But there's a few things that I'd like to unpack. I think we've seen this outside of the whole disability and kind of associating that with the situation of disability and the industry term that Microsoft uses, and apparently the company that she works for uses in her education around that aspect. I do think that is a weird term as anything, because no matter what, it doesn't matter who you are, generally speaking, you're most likely to pick up child and disability, and that's going to make you think of something negative, namely children with disabilities. That's a bummer, as well as saying having a child is like having a disability, and that is far from the truth. Now, I don't believe that's what she's making the case for. She's just using terminology that she's heard in the in her career that then applies, but I don't think she communicated it effectively at all, and that's why I think any legitimate pushback that she's receiving is good, and that's why I said this. The legitimate pushback Alanah is getting is rooted in the association of having a child is a disability. You can put situational in front of it all you want, and we can point to this being an industry term, but maybe that should be reevaluated. To draw a parallel would be like calling people who choose to not have children as being functionally R-worded. And while I'm personally not upset by the term, I can understand how some parents feel labeled situationally disabled by an entertainment product. The whole the whole thing feels dystopian and corporate at the same time. And that's why I think when it's really interesting to see, because there is this cultural shift, there is this cultural war that is going on. We've seen the birth rate in this country, in the US, fall to 1.6, which the replacement rate is 2.5. And if you want to see the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, just wait until you feel the effects of deflation and the collapse, population collapse. Now, the United States is in a unique position because we import a lot of people. People still want to come to the USA, and I don't blame them. And a good, example of that is, would you rather, migrate to the United States or to China, right? Like, there are some clear differences in your choices, and so the United States is able to sustain its population better, but still not in a perfect or a replacement rate, and that's going to lead to bigger problems down the line. This is just a facts and a numbers situation. You're going to have an inverted pyramid. Now, at some point, all the boomers will unfortunately die off, and we're going to see the largest wealth, transfer into the next generation that we've ever seen in history. So we don't know what true impacts this is going to have and more, but we do see this mindset. And I want to push back as a parent to say, the greatest gift that God gives people is for those of you who do not want to have kids. You will never know what you missed out on. And that's good, because otherwise there'd be a lot of regret later on in your life. I know there's people out there who want to have a family, and the situations with online dating and debt crisis with student loans, that's big effort of what's preventing people from actually getting into the system and having buy-in, right? And that's one of the things why I think we've seen the rise of this Marxist woke mindset that is unfortunately capturing a lot of the youth, because they're angry and frustrated, and that's exactly what we've seen happen in the past. And unfortunately, it only leads to more death and destruction time and time again, because the real truth about all of it is humanity is just flawed. We can have good ideas, and then we can take those good ideas and execute them in such a way that they become bad ideas, and that is what we end up seeing. And so with Alanah and with all of this, it does feel almost in that same kind of vein. It's a little bit dystopian, it's a little bit corporate, and that's where I think what we see on the internet a lot is a lot of people blame capitalism for their problems, when truly the problem is corporatism. That in and of itself is a big difference between the systems that we have at play, because we've seen this system, our culture, raise more people out of poverty, do so many good things. Not that we're not, perfect, not that we haven't had our problems, but I think overall, month over month, year over year, generation over generation, we've seen that. And we're seeing that decline happen right now. And it starts obviously with the birth rate, with some exception. What's truly interesting about this conversation is we also see over time usually you see more of a leaning and a push into the right, into the, whether you're center right or more into the conservative mindset. People tend to, have worry about that. And, and any political system can be abused. There is no, bad or good, I think, in my mind, on the left or the right. It's just ideals that can end up, once you kind of get in power, you end up, it's a human flaw, right? But that point, what I'm trying to make here is that people who have the kids set the future. So you end up seeing more conservative families like myself end up having more children, and thus they end up becoming the future. Because if you don't have kids, you don't have a future. And that is just the fact of life and reality. That's why I'm a big proponent of getting out of debt, paying off your student loans, and starting your life. I know so many people have been lied to, and just hearing me say these things, they might just, because they bought into the lie so much. Now they're also miserable. So it's always kind of like, if you're miserable and you've bought into the lie, what else do you like? Try something different. And that's what we end up seeing usually within the culture. People are willing to say, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to try something different, unless you're fully indoctrinated. And at that point, the only thing that can help you is you. And so I just wish you the best of luck in that case. But I want to encourage you guys to pay off your debts, because as soon as you do that, your income's going to go up, and you're going to start to be able to do these things that feel out of reach. Stress and anxiety will be reduced. The air you breathe will smell better for some reason. You will sleep much better when you don't owe anybody any money. And I want to take this time to kind of pivot into kind of our message of hope. This comes from Coach Hines. I want you to listen to his words, reflect on them, especially if you're in one of those situations, because he's talking to a bunch of football players, but he's also talking to you and me, and I'd like you to kind of listen to his words, and then we'll wrap up the video.
Walk out right now, I have an escape. The difference, if I come over here, I'm gonna stay right here now. The difference is, I'm back into a corner. It's a freaking corner that makes all the difference. That's what it is in life, all right? When you have an out, when you have an escape, you don't have to fight hard. You can pack it in, you quit, you can say you're injured. That's the difference. When you're back in the corner, that's the difference. All I want you guys to do tonight is embrace the freaking corner. Okay? I said it before. The most dangerous thing in the world is a man on a mission that's back into a corner. I can't go anywhere now. I have to go through everyone. I want you guys tonight, and for your whole lives, to embrace the corner. Embrace the tough situations when you have a mission, you have a passion, football in your life, and there's no way to escape. What do you do then?
So the question to you guys is, what will you do then? So I just want to encourage you guys to be the best that you can be. Take care of your mental health, your physical health. They're tightly related and integrated. And it's something that will actually, I think, help you enjoy video games even more when you have a good, healthy lifestyle, good mental health situation rocking and rolling for you. And it takes work, but it can be done. And if you're in that spot, if you're in that deep, dark place right now, I'm rooting for you. If you need to talk, you can always hit me up in DMs. I keep them open for a reason. And I think that's something that is really important, especially in today's day and age. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for this video. I will be back obviously next week with more content and so much more. Lots of things coming out. I've just been busy with work, which I guess is relatable. Like sometimes when you get project deadlines, you just got to kind of grind on it. So I haven't been playing that much, but I've also been playing some Final Fantasy 14. Just released my Pictomancer controller guide over on Ginger Prime Loves MMOs. So if you guys like MMO content, go check it out. I'd love it if you go support that channel as well as it continues to grow. And without further ado, guys, thank you so much to the members. Thank you to those who've hit that like button on this video, especially those of you who stayed all the way to the end. If you made it all the way to the end, sound off with your financial plan. Are you in debt? Is there a way that I can help? Are you struggling? Are you out of debt? I'd love to hear your stories. You can also, if you don't have a story to share, you can just sound off with hooty hoot in the comments. So it's the secret call out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully I will see you in the next video. But until then, take care.